In the richest city in the world, there was one name that made powerful men go pale: Madame Vesper. She owned half the trade that moved through the harbor. Banks opened their vaults when she asked. Kings borrowed from her in secret. Fortunes were made and destroyed at a single word from her lips. But here is the part that no one could explain. In 30 years, no one had ever seen her face. Not the merchants who paid her, not the bankers who feared her, not even the men who carried out her orders every single day of their lives. Some said she was a fallen noblewoman, hiding from an old scandal. Some said she was a sorceress. Some swore she was not real at all, that Madame Vesper was only a name, a shadow, invented to frighten rivals into obedience. Every one of them was wrong. The truth was stranger than any rumor, and it began many years before with a girl that the whole world agreed was absolutely no one. Long before the name Vesper, there was only a girl named Lyra. She owned nothing, an orphan who scrubbed linens in the back rooms of a great merchant house, breathing soap and steam from before sunrise until long after dark. Invisible, forgettable, the kind of girl the rich brushed past without ever seeing her at all. But Lyra was clever, far, far cleverer than anyone guessed. While she worked, she listened. She memorized prices. She understood in her bones why one ship's cargo sold for a fortune and another rotted on the dock. She had a gift for money that no school could teach. And she had one friend, the only person in the world she had ever allowed herself to trust, a handsome young clerk named Dorian. For 2 years, in stolen moments, Lyra and Dorian built a secret dream. She supplied the mind, the plans, the instincts, the deals written carefully in her own hand. He supplied the freedom, for a man could walk through doors that were forever closed to a servant girl. They counted every coin. They swore an oath to each other. Their own trading house, one day, equal partners, together, against a world that had given them nothing. And then, one gray morning, Dorian was simply gone. He had taken their savings, every coin. He had taken her plans, every page of ideas she had ever trusted to him. And he used them to open his own trading house, with his own name carved proudly above the door. When Lyra found him and demanded the truth, he did not even look ashamed. He laughed. "Who would ever believe a laundry girl?" he said. "Go back to your washing. You're no one." Something inside Lyra died that morning. But in the ashes, something far colder, far more dangerous, opened its eyes. She made herself one promise, a single sentence she would live by for the rest of her life. I will never trust another living soul again. Most people, after a wound like that, would have crumbled or spent their lives in bitterness. Lyra did something stranger. She studied the betrayal, the way a general studies a battle they lost. She asked herself one question, again and again, late into the night. Why did Dorian win? And the answer she found would one day shake an entire city. Dorian won because she had shown him everything. Her plans, her dreams, her whole hand laid open on the table. And the moment one person could see all of you, they could take all of you. So Lyra built a rule, the rule that every brick of her empire would rest upon. Never let anyone see the whole picture. Not your plans, not your name, not your face. She would not become a merchant. She would become a ghost. A woman made of separate pieces, scattered so wide that no single hand could ever gather them all. each person who worked for her would hold only one small fragment. And no one, ever, would hold enough to destroy her. To begin, she needed to bury the girl the world had thrown away. So she invented a name out of nothing. A name with no family, no past. Vesper began with almost nothing, only the small savings she had clawed back and a mind no one took seriously. But she had learned a secret truth about the city. It was drowning in desperate men. Merchants one bad season from ruin. Captains who had gambled away their ships. Proud families quietly rotting behind golden doors. Desperate men do not ask questions, and they will take help from anyone, even a voice they never meet. So Vesper chose her first target carefully, a failing spice merchant named Halloran, a week away from losing everything. She did not go to him herself. She sent a letter, unsigned, sealed in black wax, offering exactly the sum he needed to survive. The terms were generous, almost too generous. There was only one condition. He must never try to learn who she was. Halloran, drowning, signed without a second thought. The money saved him. And from that day, quietly, a share of everything he earned flowed back into the dark, to a person he had never seen and never would. Within a year, Vesper had a dozen Hallorans. Within 3, she had 100. To each one, she was a different name on a different envelope. None of them knew the others existed. Each believed he alone had stumbled onto some mysterious benefactor. And not one of them, not a single one, ever imagined that the hand pulling all these threads belonged to a woman, let alone a woman they would have stepped over in the street. The web was spun. Now Vesper only had to disappear inside it. This was Vesper's masterstroke, the move that made her a legend. She needed faces for the world, but never her own. So she found broken, indebted men and gave each one a single, simple job: be seen. One man signed her contracts at the Great Trading Hall, smiling, shaking hands, taking the bows. Another sat at the head of her meetings and read aloud from instructions that arrived in sealed envelopes he was forbidden to open early. Another carried her letters across the sea. To the entire city, it looked like a dozen separate empires, run by a dozen separate men. In truth, every thread ran back to one woman in the shadows. And not one of those men ever met another. Not one of them knew he was a single finger on a much larger hand. But here is the detail that should send a chill down your spine. When the most powerful men in the city gathered to discuss the mysterious Madame Vesper, to plot how they might find her, expose her, control her, she was often in the room. A plain woman in gray, refilling their wine, sweeping the floor, standing silent in the corner, eyes lowered, while they spoke their most dangerous secrets freely, certain that the quiet servant was no one worth noticing. The entire city was hunting for Madame Vesper, and every single day, she stood 3 feet away from them, completely invisible. She had learned long ago the most powerful lesson of her life. The world never looks twice at someone it has decided is no one. So, she made that blindness her own. Year by year, the phantom grew. And because she trusted no one, she built a machine that needed no trust at all. Every clerk knew only his own ledger. Every captain knew only his own route. Every partner held only one corner of a map that alone meant nothing. If a man turned traitor, he could burn only his own small corner, never the whole. Spies sent to find the empire's heart returned with nothing but false names, locked doors, and trails that vanished into smoke. The merchants who once ignored a laundry girl now waited months for an audience with a woman they would never be permitted to see. Her wealth became legend. Her silence. But power always draws a hunter. His name was Crane, the city's sharpest investigator, hired by a circle of ruined rivals with one obsession: unmask Madame Vesper and break her. Crane was good, frighteningly good. He did what no one had dared. He stopped chasing the men at the top and started watching the people at the bottom: the messengers, the servants, the forgettable ones. Slowly, he noticed something strange. In room after room, deal after deal, across years of records, the same quiet servant woman in gray kept appearing, always near the center, always overlooked. He began to follow her. For the first time in 30 years, someone was about to see Vesper's face. But Vesper had survived this long by being 3 moves ahead of everyone alive she had noticed. She had noticed Crane long before he noticed her. And so she did something no one expected. She let him catch her. She arranged for Crane to discover exactly what she wanted him to find: a trail leading not to the truth, but to one of her own masks, a wealthy frontman set up for years to take the fall. Crane delivered his triumphant report. The rivals celebrated. They had found Madame Vesper at last. They had found a puppet. The phantom remained free, and now untouchable, because the whole city believed the mystery was already solved. The greatest hunter in the city had been turned into one more piece on her board, and he never even knew the game was being played. Now, at last, Vesper turned to the man it had all begun with. For years, quietly, invisibly, she had been closing her hand around Dorian's world. His finest suppliers mysteriously raised their prices. His best clients drifted, one by one, to a rival house he could never quite identify. His debts were bought up by strangers who suddenly, coldly, demanded payment in full. Dorian was drowning, and he could not see the hand on his shoulder pushing him under. In desperation, he sought out the one power left that could save him: the legendary Madame Vesper. He begged for a meeting. He offered her everything: his house, his name, his future, anything for her gold. And to his shock, she agreed to see him. In person. Face to face. He was led into a dark hall. Madame Vesper ruled for the rest of her days, feared, obeyed, and never, ever truly known. She had built the greatest empire the city had ever seen on one cold, simple idea: never let anyone see all of you. But the rule that made her unbreakable was the same rule that left her alone. She had power without limit, and trust without a single soul. Perhaps that was the price. Perhaps, long ago, in a back room that smelled of soap and steam, a girl named Lyra decided it was a price worth paying. Because in a world that had thrown her away as nothing, she made certain of one thing forever: no one would ever take everything from her again. If Vesper's story gripped you to the very end, remember this: the ones the world calls no one are so often the ones quietly building everything. Subscribe to Rags to Empires. Next time, we reveal the beggar who became a king's most trusted advisor, and then quietly took his throne. New stories every Tuesday and Friday. Hit subscribe and never underestimate the quiet ones.